Well, hello, Bob Dendry here, and welcome to Transport Fever 2. It's time for a brand new series. I know it's been a little while, took some time off over Christmas, same as I did the year before, and I'm back and I'm ready to play some TF2. What do you reckon? So we're starting off here in Los Angeles, which is our largest town, funnily enough, which is interesting given the name, and that's where we're going to start basing off our operations. As you know, I like to get some freight rail started before we go on and do anything else. And if we look nearby, we've got a nice opportunity to get an oil chain set up. So we've got an oil well, an oil refinery, and also a fuel refinery. And if we pop over here to Flint, we also have another oil well as well. So I think that's where we're going to start. And it's going to be a nice, hopefully brisk-paced start to this series. Now, I wanted to talk about what I want to do differently in this series as well, because it's going to be slightly different from the last one. So we're back down to a very large map. So we've dropped the Mechalomaniac size, at least for this series. It did become quite difficult to manage in the end. But what we're instead doing is we've dialed down the time scale on this one to quarter scale. So that will allow us heaps of time to hopefully completely cover this map with transit. And hopefully will be a nice long series for you. So let's jump in and start building. What do you reckon? Also a bit about the vehicle set I'm using on this one. So this is modded, a lot more modded than the last one anyway, and a lot more assets. And we are sort of looking at the sort of northeastern area of the US. So we're looking at things like Pennsylvania, like Penn Central, all of that. New York Central, Conrail, C&O, B&O, chassis system, CSX, to name a few. But there's going to be a bit of a mix because unlike when we were playing with the UK assets, there's not sort of a complete, fleet of everything that some of these railways use. So there might be some stuff that's mixed that might not necessarily have been mixed in real life. There might be some railroads that are a bit further afield, but it's just for game balancing purposes. So I hope you understand. But yeah, let's get building on our oil chain here. So let's pop over here to Santa Rosa Oil Well, which will be the first sort of a starting point on our network. So I think we will start with a nice long platform to get started for these ones. We're going to plan for future growth. We might stick it with a 240 just to save a little bit of money. These ones won't be too difficult to upgrade should we need to anyway. And we're just going to build a nice sort of very basic connection here over to our oil refinery and then onto the fuel refinery as well. So it shouldn't be too much bother, and we might start off with 4 platforms at our oil refinery as well. Hope you had a good Christmas should you celebrate. I had quite a good Christmas, managed to see my family and the in-laws as well, and on Boxing Day me and my fiance actually escaped away to Thailand. So we spent a couple of weeks over in Phuket and Phi Phi Islands, a few places like that. Really good, really refreshing. Good to have a bit of a digital sort of detox. Like I'm a very techie nerdy guy, and it was good just to I guess not have all the phones and the computers and all that just there all the time. It was quite a nice sort of relaxing couple of weeks in that regard. And we don't strictly need a passing loop at this point, but we'll pop one in just for I guess plan for some future growth there. And we will get our oil to fuel sort of network set up straight off the bat here as well. We'll go with 2 platforms here to start with. We can actually do this one as a terminus as well. Alright, so we're pretty much good to start running trains. We need to think about where we're going to put our depot, and I think sort of on the outside of Los Angeles here is probably going to be a good idea. We will be building a passenger terminus or passenger station probably about here or so on our residential side. And we want to plan, I guess, how we're doing things to allow all of our locomotives to be getting, the service they need and stuff like that. So we'll get a depot in over here. And that will sort of punch through the city. And we'll need to set up a bit of a triangle here as well. Now let's have a look and see what we've got to play with here. So we do have some, obviously, some sort of default trains that we probably will be using, but we'll be trying to use the modded ones where we can. I've noticed there's not a lot of prototypical sort of northeastern freight cars available. If you do have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. But if we look at what we're looking at here, we can probably do this for maybe about 2 mil or so. So what I might do is just take out a bit of a loan, as you know I love doing, up to 10 mil, and we'll get a new oil train running. And I think that is going to be nice to start with. We don't need to go too overboard, but we can get this all set up and running. Beautiful. As well as that, I probably want to point out that I haven't mentioned yet, I'm going to put far less focus on the financials in this series. Financials are important, so I'm not going to turn them off and go, full sandbox mode, but they're sort of scrounging for money, things like that. I mean, I personally found that it just wasn't particularly fun to be really battling like that. So the running costs are a little bit lower, as well as that, because we've got the timescale turned down. I believe that in this game that doesn't scale your running costs and stuff like that. So it's also a lot cheaper in that regard as well. So let me know what you think, if you want me to make changes or anything like that to the setup. Once again, I'm always happy to do exactly what you guys want, as long as it's still fun for me, of course. On second thought, we've got 233 crude oil over here, and we have a capacity of 63, so you might actually just straight off the bat bump this up to a 240 meter long train if we can, and that should hopefully make things quite decent. We might even double head it as well. There we go. So this is going to be a massive train, double-headed, and that hopefully should get us in a decent amount of money. All right, and we have our crude oil train coming in for the first time in this series. Hopefully we get a decent amount. As you can see, we're already a little bit in the red, but I'm fairly confident we should be able to make back our money at the very least. So let's see how it goes. Oh, that is very respectable. Yep, I'm a fan. That is good. So that should allow us to make a very tidy profit there. And we can probably even get in our fuel train as well to start running. I think what we might do before we do anything else, we'll save up a little bit and then we'll actually duplicate this train. So this has a capacity of 154. As you can see, we've got 565 over there. So we've got plenty of goods that need, goods that need transporting. If we look at our power rating, it's also poor as well, and it really struggles. I think there's a slight grade. If we have a look here, there's a very slight grade up this sort of hill here, and it actually is struggling quite a bit, getting down to about 9 kilometers an hour. So I think a second train will allow us to increase the throughput a little bit there. And of course, once we have some more powerful locomotives a little bit down the line, then we can of course switch those in as well and repurpose these 440s for another train or another sort of service we're running. Okay, so it is 2.5 years later, and I think we can, yes, clone the selected vehicle. Perfect, so that's used up all our money, but that's okay. That will allow us to essentially double the profit we're getting through this line. And our next goal will be getting a refined oil train running over to our fuel line over here to hopefully start making some goods that we can then forward on to Los Angeles and probably Santa Rosa and Peoria, whatever, in not too long. Alright, and as I've been sort of examining the performance of this line for the last little while, I think we do need to make a slight change. We do need to increase the double track a little bit. I think having this section here between Santa Rosa oil wells and the passing loop, leaving that as single track is fine. Trains speed up fairly quickly through the section, but it's this upgrade little section here that's really slowing everything down. As you can see, we're in real time here, and yeah, it's going to take a while to get up there, isn't it? So we will actually duplicate this bit, I think, which should increase the throughput a fair amount. On second thought, we might just double track the whole thing, to be honest. It's probably a little bit overbuilt, but end of the day, we need to increase our throughput a little bit more than having these passing loops is really doing for us. So it makes sense to do it this way, I guess. All right, and it's been another few years and we have enough money to build a third train. So what we're going to do, we will copy one of our existing trains, and then I'm going to place it on a different line, being line 1, which I thought I renamed earlier, but apparently I didn't. Perfect, and as we can see immediately, we're starting to see oil show up ready to go off to our fuel refinery. It's the next important step of growing our company. The question is, where are we going to take the fuel? Obviously LA, we're going to need to take it. LA has a very low demand for fuel, as are pretty much all the towns going to have at this point, because obviously it's quite early game. So we can't run a train to LA for fuel, at least not at the moment. It doesn't make any commercial sense to do that. But at the same time, this is a massive distance for trucks to travel. So how are we going to make it work? And one idea I have, which we'll try out, is we will actually take our fuel back to our main sort of LA crude oil station and then truck it from there. I think that's going to be a little bit easier. We might even build sort of a cut through here as well, just to make the journey just that little bit quicker. And well, we'll see how that goes. I don't foresee massive profits, anything like that, but it will crucially just start to bump up the population of LA, which will help down the line when we're building a passenger network in a little while. Now, this is very much a make or break sort of moment for our network. Is this going to run? I think it'll do well. We've got the right sort of balance. We've got 2 crude oil coming in, therefore 1 oil going out, and then go onto the fuel refinery. This train is currently just running out demand, so it's half full, so I'm keen to see how much profit we get from this one, and hopefully we get quite a nice tidy profit, up around perhaps 800 or so, maybe even 900 a million, but I don't have massive hopes here, because obviously it's just the beginning here. 700 actually. A little bit lower than I thought, but it'll still be fine, and it should be pretty much running in and out with not too much effort here either. So let's start planning that road into LA. So if we pop over to our goods layer, as you can see, all our fuel is concentrated over here. We should be able to get that with a single, I hope anyway, a single goods station, which we might actually set up as a station here that'll allow us to pick up like mail and stuff like that as well. But if we turn this off, we've got full coverage there. We also have full coverage for goods as well, which could help us down the line. So that is a nice easy one, and then we will pop over here and do the same. Alright, making a little cut-through connection there, nice and direct. And what vehicles do we have? I don't have any custom road vehicles on here, so potentially that might be something we want to change. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Right, it's always, it's nice and easy to add new vehicles to existing games. So yeah, we'll just see how it works there. And we've got 5 there to start with. That's not going to cover all the fuel coming in, but hopefully should at least start prompting some movement of goods anyway. And as you can see over at LA North, yes, we do have some fuel that is starting to want to be shipped back, which is good. And this train is hopefully making a nice, decent profit for us. Yeah, it's looking not too bad, not too bad. I think we've got the opportunity here to get another crude oil train on. The reason for that is, if we have a look here, we can see that our line from our oil well to our oil refinery is a little bit longer than the line from the oil refinery to the fuel refinery. This line here as well is quite a bit flatter, so our trains are getting up to a higher speed. Therefore, there is still a little bit of a shortage in our crude oil coming in to be able to satisfy the demand to send across to the fuel refinery. So I will go ahead and I am going to copy one of these again. We need a slight bit more money. But once that comes in, we will do that. Like so. And that, I reckon that's going to be pretty much perfect equilibrium that will allow our fuel train to fill up all the way and also allow us to extract a little bit more profit from the crude oil line as well. I think overall the line is looking pretty good so far. We've got some nice profitability in here and we've got a bit of room to grow as well. So I'm happy with how things are looking, but I think we're going to leave it there just for the moment. Obviously, a new series is always a little bit slow to get going, getting the grips on things, getting things financially handled, but I think we've done a really good job here starting to get things really kicked up a notch. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device the next time I post a video. You can find links to all my social media in the description, so please jump on there, like, follow, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. But until next time, I'm Bob Dendry. This is Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.